everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Make It Big conference. I'm your host, Beatrice Este with Big Commerce, and today I'm here with Vaughan Fergusson, founder of Vend. Vaughan, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to dive into our conversation today about offline retail. But before we dive in, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to start Vend.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for having me and indulging me to talk about retail. One of the things I cherish most in the world is seeing retailers succeed. So I'm the founder of Vend, a company I founded a decade ago now. So we've been doing this for 10 years. We were the world's first pure cloud platform for retail. We were the first iPad POS, and we've been pioneering cloud retail ever since, helping retailers make sense of all these new digital tools that are now available in retail and how they can leverage the internet to drive what is now called, the omni-channel retail experience.
So I think it's safe to say that this year has been very different, especially for retailers. We've seen more brick and mortar businesses coming online than ever before. Talk to me about why it's so important to not only have an online presence, but to still have that offline presence.
Yeah, I think even pre-2020, this was a thing, right? It was a trend towards omni-channel. So the debate has always been going on for as long as I can remember around online versus offline or in-store. And our point of view has always been that modern retail is about doing both. It's about being able to be where your customers are and where they're most comfortable shopping with you. And the reality is today, it's not that binary thing either. What we've all come to realize is that customers have a different preference for how they engage in the entire shopping journey. So it's not just about where they purchase, it's also about where they discover you and how they choose to research and fall in love with a product. It's like trying to match that customer's love letter to themselves, like how they want to fall in love with products. For some, they just want to fall in love with products online and buy online. Some, they want to fall in love with a product in store. But many, it's that blended thing. They need time to fall in love with your products. And so you just need to be there ready for them when they've made the decision that they want to buy. And then it's about making that experience as frictionless as possible.
I would actually love to expand on that. What do you think that brands should be doing to really facilitate a cohesive customer experience across both online and offline?
I think it's just thinking about it as one experience. And I think if you frame your customers as being anywhere, then it makes you think about your product strategy, your pricing strategy, your brand, how you communicate with your customers, and making sure that the things you are offering those customers are coherent and consistent on both channels, both online and in store. So an example would be promotions that you run. So instead of having an online promotion or an in-store promotion, having promotions that are available on both, things like loyalty. So if customers are spending, doesn't matter which channel they're spending with you, they're accruing loyalty points that they can then redeem via any channel. It's just stuff like that. So the customer doesn't have to think too much about their experience with you. They just know that it's consistent, the prices are the same, their loyalty is the same, the way you talk to them is the same. Because you never know really where that customer is going to choose to buy from you.
There are so many touch points a customer has with a brand, so I love that call out. It's something that we definitely need to keep in mind. But I want to shift gears a little bit and talk specifically about the offline store location. Obviously, as we mentioned, this year has been very, very hard, especially for brick and mortars and physical retail locations, but it doesn't mean that the value of the offline store has to go away. Talk to me about how brands should be leveraging their offline stores right now to really maximize on everything from operations to marketing.
Yeah, so if you're a retailer with a physical store, it's actually one of your best assets. So it's no surprise, given that we're all analog, that a lot of our customers need to have that tangible touch moment. But even in COVID times, depending on how fortunate you are with whatever levels of lockdown, customers are looking for newer experiences or newer ways and safer ways to be able to interact with you. So things like curbside pickup or click and collect is super important in these times, because you still need to be able to leverage your in-store inventory, provide the convenience for customers so that they can get access to your products as quickly as possible, but without the physical touch point of them having to be in store and having to browse and shop. So that's super important. Also flipping that around, things like endless aisle. So, you may be able to have customers into your store, but you might want to reduce the touch points and the friction by offering what's called endless aisle. So customers can come and browse and then make a purchase, and then you fulfill directly to their homes. And it just makes sense from a blended commerce point of view for you to be able to leverage your inventory where it is. And so you may have one store, you may have multiple stores, you may have a distribution center. These days, it's about routing the products to your customers so that they can get them the quickest. And so even if they're buying online and you've got multiple stores, having a platform that picks the inventory based on the proximity to the customer, and that can cut down freight times by days in some cases.
And I know it's hard to say, but do you have any predictions in terms of how offline retail will change or evolve in the next year?
Yeah, I just grabbed my crystal ball. It's just over there. Predictions are always quite dangerous. I think, obviously with 2020 being kind of this benchmark year for how the world changed, I actually don't think retail is going to be radically different on the other side. I think it's advancing a lot of the trends that we've been seeing in retail and made them more of a necessity rather than a nice to have. So things like omnichannel, e-commerce, and digital marketing is the other one. So it's never been more important now than ever to be able to communicate with your customers and keep them up to date on what's happening with you in your store, and how they can shop with you. And so we're starting to see retailers really going all in on new digital marketing tools. And so these can just be used for just pure communication, just to let customers know what's what, but also how to engage with customers. So, you getting a customer into your store, a lot of retailers consider that to be, success once the customer has bought product. But the real secret to success is being able to re-engage with those customers. You've fought so hard to get that customer to, run the gauntlet and find you through the sea of all the other options, fall in love with your brand and your products and make a purchase. It's a relatively trivial thing to re-engage with that customer, but it's something that a lot of retailers don't think to do or don't do very well. And that's where new digital tools just make that so easy. Like you can almost put it on auto, and it can just run, and then you can be re-engaging with your customers and getting them to also discover new ways that they can shop with you.
Having an integrated POS system is so crucial for any brand that's going to be selling both online and offline. And I think many brands actually struggle, or they're a little bit more hesitant to dive into new channels in fear that they will lose control of inventory management. Talk to me about how having an integrated POS system can help with that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the greatest fears around doing omnichannel retail is that you sell product that you no longer have. Like you have a customer buying it in store and a customer buying it online, and there's only one. And so having up-to-date and real-time inventory is key here. And the best way to do that, rather than relying on people pushing buttons, is to have it deeply integrated, your POS, your inventory, and your e-commerce, and any other marketplaces that you sell on, all sharing inventory from the one place, from within the POS or inventory management system. And so that's something that Vend has been doing since we launched, giving retailers the one view of where their inventory is and where it's being sold. And then on the other side is, once customers are purchasing, especially with these new blended models of click and collect, and is giving your staff the visibility in real time to know, like when they need to go and pick and pack stuff. So if a customer has just done a curbside pickup order, you need to let your team know that there's, what the products are that they need to go and take off the shelf, put in a bag, and get ready for the customer as quickly as possible. And so the only way you can do all that is just having a fully, deeply integrated system.
And with that as well, how can tools like Vend help you save time?
Yeah, so with fulfillment, just letting your staff know that stuff needs to be pick and packed. Like we've had retailers who have cut that time down, just the operational workflow time of, how they deal with online orders, they reduce that by 80%. And that really adds up, because one of your greatest assets and one of your greatest costs is your team members in your stores. So you want to be making sure that their time is optimized. It reduces things like overselling, and disappointing customers who they think who think they've fallen in love with something and they think they're about to get it, and then because your inventory levels were out, it means you have to temporarily disappoint them. There's also tools like within Vend, we've got an iOS app which turns any smartphone into a smart inventory device, so an inventory scanner, which means you can do things like partial stock take. So if there's downtime in your store, your staff can literally just pick up their iPhone and do a partial stock count. So they can just pick a part of the store, pick a particular product category, and just do an inventory count, just making sure that what the system thinks you have is actually what you have. So you can manage things like shrinkage, but also sometimes people just make mistakes. Like somebody might return a product and it may not be re-entered into the system correctly. And so just tools like that, which I think if anybody's been in the retail game long enough, you think about doing things like an inventory count, and it's like, the thought of having to close your store for a day in order to count all the inventory. It's like, you don't need to do that anymore. Because it's a real-time system, you can do things like partial stock counts. And you don't have to invest in $1,000, inventory counter tools that only do one thing. You can use devices like, smartphones, to be your smart inventory tool. And the other thing like that our iOS app scanner can do is it's also your real-time on-the-floor tool for doing inventory lookup. So you may have a customer who has fallen in love with that product, but you just don't have that right size for them in the store that they're at. You can use the scanner inventory app to find where you do have inventory. You may have stuff on back order, and so the app will tell you when it's due in, or you may have that perfect size and color in another store, so you can complete the sale there in the store and have it fulfilled to that customer, to their home. So it's stuff like that. It's just like the power of having this real-time inventory in your pocket is it's kind of a killer feature.
It is really amazing how much we can do with our smartphones these days. I want to dive into a couple of customer stories. I always love a good customer story. I think they're a great way to really visualize a strategy, definitely a successful one. Talk to me a little bit about Portia Ella. They are both a BigCommerce merchant and they use Vend as well. They've really leveraged their offline sales to boost their brand. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so they were an online brand and then decided to make the move into opening retail footprints. So they wanted to get in front of as many customers as they could. And being a trendy sort of indie label, you might have thought that they would open up on a high street or definitely not in a mall. But they decided that if they wanted to get their brand in front of as many customers as possible, then that's where they needed to be. And the thought of opening up a retail store in a mall, it can seem overwhelming. But for them, that just was transformational for their business. They got the foot traffic and they could implement the POS that was fully integrated with their e-com store, which was the majority of their sales at the time. And it just created this amazing blended experience that gave their customers the preference. So they could not only discover new customers that they wouldn't have otherwise have discovered through foot traffic through the mall, but the customers that they did have and they had already had those relationships with online, it gave them a venue, it gave them a place, it gave them a fan club for their customers to be able to come and hang out and discover new products. And so since then, they've opened more stores, and because it's all running off the same platform, the same inventory, the same online channels, it was relatively trivial for them to scale up. And we see this a lot. The thought of going from one to many stores seems overwhelming because you have to duplicate everything. But that's not true. Like with the power of the cloud, all of your information is there in the cloud in real time. And opening up a new store or even just a new register, you might have a busy day. You just need to fire up a new register. You're doing a promotion. You can just grab an iPad and you're ready to go. You've got a new terminal that can sell to customers. So retail, I think retail as an idea is about being in as many places as your customers are.
It is so true that offline experiences, some of them just simply can't be recreated online. But what you can do online is actually create a very, very personalized experience for a customer, which can really heighten the impact of the tools that you have integrated in your e-commerce store. Two merchants, TC Ellis and Our Bralette Club, I know they're both using Vend, they're both on BigCommerce. They've really leveraged their e-commerce data to make better personalized even promotions and just other decisions to really cultivate a better customer experience. Tell us a little bit about how Vend has helped with that.
Yeah, it's about bringing all the data into one place so you can have your full customer profile. And so you can see not only what your customers are buying, which is important, but you can also start to see trends, being able to profile customer segments and demographics to really validate who your target market is, and that can change over time. Like you can start with an assumption, and then as your brand develops and as word of mouth develops, you can find your customer profile evolving over time. And so digital marketing tools are great to open those channels. So there's more and more channels almost every week that you can actually communicate with customers online, either through social media, through your own e-commerce platform, through things like chat, and there's TikTok and there's Instagram, and I have no doubt by this time next year, there'll be another 12 ways that you can engage with your customer, which is all great. The important thing is so first of all, being able to access those communication channels, but it's more important to be able to talk to your customers and give them offers that resonate with them. And so one of the most powerful things you can do is see changes in your customer demographics. So you may have had this particular customer audience that used to be really engaged and used to be real frequent shoppers, but for some reason that's changed. Like they haven't shopped with you for a little while. And that might just be life. Life happens. Like this year, life happened a big time. But for some, it might just be you've forgotten to touch base with them. And that's where it's not so much about focusing on who your highly engaged customers are. It's where the relationships has changed a little bit and you're not too sure why. And so then using a digital marketing tool, you could do a customized campaign to customers who you haven't seen for a while, and give them a targeted offer and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Here's some new products that we think you'll like. Rather than spamming them with what's on special, you can actually find a curated set of products based on their purchase history, and do a customized promotion so it feels like it's just for them. Like you're being really personal. You understand who they are and what they like, and you're just genuinely touching base to see if you can help them. So that's a great way to re-engage with customers. And then the other side of it is once you understand these profiles, you kind of know who your demographic is and how it's evolving. It makes it really easy for you to go out and find more customers who match that profile. And that's where you can really leverage things like Google and Facebook and other channels to do targeted campaigns to find more customers who look like these other customers that you have. And these tools are, they've been around for a while, but they can be quite overwhelming because the thought of having to manage these campaigns in multiple places and then having to train your staff so that they know, what promotions are on offer and who they're applicable to. Again, so this is where having it fully integrated into your suite of your POS, your digital marketing, and your e-commerce, it means all the information's in one place, all the promotions are there. So when a customer comes in to redeem a promotion or as a result of one of these campaigns, and this is the killer feature, right, is you can close the loop. You can know that customer came in as a result of that digital marketing campaign. And so once you have that visibility, you can kind of crank that lever. If the campaign's working, you can just keep that campaign running or evolve it a bit and try it with different customer segments. And that's like a superpower tool of digital marketing.
And last but not least, for those tuning into this session, what are a few key takeaways you'd like to leave them with?
Okay, so my three takeaways are, and this is something you've already heard me talk about, which is about the idea that retail isn't online or offline or in store. It's about doing both equally well and having a fully integrated suite of tools that just make that operationally so simple. And it's not rocket science anymore. The platforms are there and we've been doing it for a long time and they're really, really good. Using a full cloud suite of tools with BigCommerce means that you can run your business from everywhere as well. So this is the promise of the cloud of, all the data being, there in the cloud and accessible. So it means you can run your business from wherever you need to be as well. So not only can your customers shop from wherever they want to be, it means you can have that same flexibility. And so that might be a lifestyle thing. Like you might just want to run your business from the beach, and that's great if you can do that. But it might also just be, you close the store up at the end of the day and you just want to be able to go home, spend time with your family, and then crunch the numbers. And so you can do that with the cloud. And then the last piece, which we were just talking about, is around these new digital channels of new ways that you can engage with your customers as well. Super powerful tools, which are just getting easier and easier and easier. And so having those tools fully integrated into that suite of tools through your e-commerce and your in-store POS and inventory really unlocks a superpower for you as a retailer to be able to profile your customers, understand who they are, and understand what they like, and know how to get more of them.
Thank you so much, Vaughan, for joining us and sharing your expertise and helping us make it big.
No, thank you.
That was a great session with Vaughan Fergusson, founder of Vend. Be sure to engage with us on social media using the hashtag MakeItBigConf and share what you've learned. If you're looking for more insights, be sure to tune into more Make It Big conference sessions by heading over to www.bigcommerce.com/makeitbig.